Hey guys, I'm Chris. Welcome to ReWatchClub, where we are recapping all of Luke Cage Season 1 in 7 minutes. If you're planning on watching Season 2, be sure to check out our show WatchClub, where we'll be seeing every episode and breaking down all the references and Easter eggs and stuff you might have missed. So check that out. Now here it is, Luke Cage Season 1 in 7 minutes, starting now.
Carl Lucas, aka Luke Cage, is an escaped convict with superhuman abilities working odd jobs around Harlem to keep a low profile. During the day, he sweeps the floors at Pop's barbershop, and at night he washes dishes at Harlem's Paradise, a local nightclub owned by crime boss Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes. Luke covers for one of the bartenders and strikes up a romantic relationship with undercover NYPD detective Misty Knight, who has her eyes on a conversation between mobster Domingo Colon, Cottonmouth, and his cousin city councilwoman Mariah Dillard. Turns out that the missing bartender, Dante, along with his partners Shamik and Chico, plan to stick up the arms deal between Cottonmouth and Domingo. The robbery goes sideways and Dante's queasiness gets him silenced by Shamik. Cottonmouth, now in the position of being accused of orchestrating the robbery, enlists the help of Shades to help track Shamik and Chico down. Cottonmouth questions Shamik about Chico's location and beats him to death. Meanwhile, Luke steps in when Cottonmouth's men threaten his landlords over money owed to Mariah. They try to pay him for helping, but Luke turns down the money. On behalf of Pops, Luke finds Chico before Cottonmouth can and brings him back to the shop. Unfortunately, Cottonmouth's right-hand man, Tone, discovers Chico's location and shoots up the shop, killing Pop and wounding Chico. When Stokes finds out Pops was killed, he throws Tone off the roof. Luke sees Mariah bring Chico's money to one of Stokes' safe houses, and his assault on Cottonmouth's empire begins. Luke waits for Mariah to leave the safe house and charges in, fighting through waves of Stokes' men. Luke leaves most of the money behind, but takes Chico's bag to pay off the bank for Pops' barbershop. He's caught by a security camera on his way out, and Misty identifies Luke from the photos but keeps her hunch to herself. Good thing too, because her partner Scarf turns out to be working with Cottonmouth. He kills Chico after he offers to confess and name names. His last words are Luke Cage. Scarf reports back to Stokes and informs him of his former dishwasher's involvement, and the fact that Luke and Misty have an intimate relationship, which gives him Luke's home address. Being the sensible businessman that he is, Stokes heads over there with a rocket launcher and destroys Luke's apartment building. With Luke and his landlady unconscious beneath the rubble, we go into flashback mode. We learn that police officer Carl Lucas was framed and how he came to possess superhuman abilities during his time at Seagate Prison. After making an enemy out of a correctional officer named Rackham and being beaten within an inch of his life by Shades and another inmate, Dr. Noah Burstein subjects Luke to an experimental procedure that would give him healing abilities. But of course, Rackham interferes, attempting to kill Luke. This backfires in a big way, as the procedure causes an explosion, granting Luke incredible abilities and giving him an opportunity to escape. Back in the present, Luke and his landlady emerge from the rubble, and with news crews at the scene, the legend of Luke Cage begins to circulate throughout Harlem. In an attempt to turn Harlem against Luke, Cottonmouth begins terrorizing citizens and extorting them to make up for his losses, and then blaming Luke. When Luke catches wind, he takes it upon himself to set the record straight. In a power move fitting a power man himself, Luke shows up to Harlem's Paradise to confront Cottonmouth. Shades tells Cottonmouth about a powerful weapon that may be able to take down Cage, Judas bullets. With Stokes under pressure, Scarf sees an opportunity to up his pay. This plan backfires and Cottonmouth shoots him and flees the scene. Mariah scolds him as shooting a cop is bad for business. Luke runs into night nurse Claire Temple, who he met back in Jessica Jones Season 1, and the two walk over to Pop's barbershop where they find Scarf bleeding out. After Claire operates on Scarf, he spills the beans about a ledger that details what he knows about Stokes. Luke finds Scarf's notes and returns to the shop to help Claire move him to the police station, but they're cut off by men working for Stokes. Scarf dies in Misty's arms, Cottonmouth is arrested, and Mariah's link to her cousin's crimes is laid out by a reporter. But Cottonmouth's incarceration is short-lived, as Scarf's journal is deemed inadmissible. He threatens to expose Luke's true identity and return him to prison. Luke wants to run, but Claire convinces him otherwise. Mariah deals with the fallout of the interview and her cousin's arrest, and is asked to step down as councilwoman. An argument erupts between Mariah and Cottonmouth, culminating in her brutally beating him to death with a mic stand. When Shades arrives, they agree to blame Luke for the murder. Later, Luke tells Claire about his past, but a sweet moment turns sour when Diamondback shows up and shoots Luke with a Judas bullet. On their way to the hospital, Claire and Luke's ambulance is attacked by Diamondback, but they manage to escape. Misty investigates the crime scene of Stokes' murder and speaks to Candace, a supposed witness Mariah paid off to lie about Luke's involvement. Claire brings Luke to a clinic to treat his wounds, but his skin is impenetrable. Misty tracks down Luke by triangulating the location of his cell phone. When Misty arrives at the clinic, she realizes Luke must be innocent because of his alibi, but is nonetheless ordered to arrest him. Suddenly, Diamondback fires on the clinic. Luke and Diamondback fight, but he escapes by taking Misty hostage. Luke tracks Diamondback to an old theater, and the two continue their fight. It's revealed that the two are in fact brothers. Luke is shot by another Judas bullet and left for dead. Luke survives the encounter but is stopped by a patrol car. The police identify him as Luke Cage and attempt to arrest him, but Luke resists and steals their patrol car. Luke finds Claire at the diner researching Seagate and Dr. Noah Burstein, and the two set off to find him. They track him to his home in Georgia, where he determines that in order to save Luke, they'll have to replicate the experiment that gave him his powers. When they don't get the results they were looking for, the doctor tells Claire to dip him again. The experiment works, and Claire is able to operate on Luke and save his life. Luke warns Burstein never to replicate the experiment, but he secretly makes a copy of the necessary files. Meanwhile, thanks to some dashcam footage of Luke taking down police officers, Diamondback framing Luke for the murder of an officer, and the police retaliating by upping their aggression in their search for Luke, Mariah is able to rally support for Diamondback's plan to mass-produce Judas bullets and arm the police with them. At the rally, Misty shows up to arrest Diamondback, but he shoots her. Luke arrives in time to save her and take cover behind the bar under heavy fire. Luke makes a run for the kitchen and barricades the door, but Diamondback takes Claire and other civilians hostage. Claire manages to escape and tracks down Luke and tends to Misty's wounds. Luke and Diamondback come face to face, but he uses Candace as a shield and escapes while a SWAT team armed with Judas bullets enters and arrests Luke. It takes more than an armored truck to contain Luke though, and he escapes almost immediately. Even on the run, Luke is compelled to do the right thing, and stops a robbery at a bodega and runs into Method Man. A sweater full of bullet holes isn't exactly discreet, so he and Meth trade outfits. Candace comes clean to Misty and she promises to keep her safe. With Diamondback working against them, Shades convinces Mariah to work with Luke and hope that the two kill each other. They head to the barbershop to parlay with Luke, but Misty hears the whole thing and tries to arrest Mariah for Cottonmouth's murder. Diamondback shows up with a fresh suit of Hammer Tech power armor stolen from Domingo and his man. The two begin an epic confrontation that bleeds out onto the streets of Harlem. During the fight, Mariah reveals Luke's true identity to a reporter on the scene. Luke lets Diamondback unload a fury of punches until his suit ultimately runs out of juice. With what feels like all of Harlem chanting his name, Luke finally takes down Diamondback with a brutal uppercut that sends him flying. The cops waste no time and try to arrest Luke, but Misty steps in and arrests Mariah. With Mariah in custody and Candace as the key witness, things seem to be looking up for Misty, until they find Candace's body. Luckily, Luke's name is cleared by the files Mariah left behind at the barbershop. With Mariah free and Shades at her side, Misty continues her fight to bring them to justice. The season ends with Dr. Burstein paying Diamondback a visit in prison, which could only spell trouble for Luke.
There you have it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments what your favorite moments from Season 1 were. I'd like to hear that. And if you're going to watch Season 2, be sure to check us out on Watch Club for our breakdown. I'll see you there.
Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.